What is up, everybody? We welcome you to SportsShack. This is episode 37. I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty intense. My name is Brandon Natale, along with Dennis, Christopher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Christopher, Tui, and obviously my dog's in the background.
Yeah, woo.
She might want to be on my lap, but I know Dennis was telling me. I guess the SportsShack mascot.
Definitely.
I know, Dennis, you were telling me before you got a presentation tonight. Are you hyped up?
I'm hyped, baby. I'm
hyped. Get that energy.
I'm hyped. I'm ready. I'm locked in. I'm not ready at all, to be honest with you. I have so much to do after this, but that's okay.
Oh, I know you got this.
Got my book right here. Look at this. Like I said, Brandon, we're going old school. We're going old school, Brandon. Highlight the textbook packages.
Was it
textbook passages? Go for it. Go for it.
Straight old school. You know, there's no smart boards, no AI.
Nope. I'd rather die than use AI.
I mean, there are computers, but obviously no laptops, right? Or were there sort of computers back then, right?
Definitely, 100%.
Right, yeah.
Trillion%.
Right, like obviously
laptops were a little different story.
Right, they're a different story. No iPhones. No, Dennis is just going straight from the books, literally.
Straight from the books.
Straight from the Notebook. Literally. Well,
straight
no pun intended for the movie, which I've only seen part of the Notebook. People really tell me I got to watch that movie. Different story.
It's a romance movie. You don't got to watch it.
Yeah, no, but that's not why we're here. This is not the girls' chat for the Notebook. This is SportsShack. And obviously a lot going on. So I know the World Series just happened, I know last week.
Yeah,
I think, we still got to get our thoughts on it. Obviously, just a shame. Obviously, I feel bad for Dong Manley, the fact that he doesn't get a ring.
I almost wore my Don Mattingly jersey. I forgot about that. Oh, well, not getting it. Yeah, I'm bummed. I'm bummed he didn't get his ring. But I'm happy Kershaw got to retire wearing one. Look at getting another one.
Right.
And he only got 2 outs, but they were very meaningful. Very meaningful in that 18-inning game.
I mean, like you said, it's good to see that he got one, but a lot of people always say that the 2021 doesn't count.
Right.
He wasn't really on the roster last year, the World Series roster.
Right.
So, I mean,
he wasn't on it.
So that I don't like that. In the NFL, if you're on a team, even for like a snap, they still qualify you to be like a ring, which
right. But I think he technically does have a ring, but he didn't play in the World Series. He didn't play in the playoffs, and I think that's the difference.
Right.
Like,
so
I'm happy that he was my favorite pitcher growing up. I'm happy to see that he was contributing.
Right. He did. Yeah, he was on the team and stuff. So that's cool to see. And so a lot to cover with the Dodgers. Obviously, Mookie Betts. Our mascot wanted to exit the SportsShack room. I'm gonna say Mookie Betts obviously got 4 rings. Shohei Ohtani still. What was it? Game 3 where he had 9, on base percentage. Yeah,
he got on base 9 times. Most of those were intentionally walks. I don't know. I know on the one hand, it's like you should count it because that means they're scared of the hitter. But on the other hand, it's like, really? Really? I remember when somebody went to try to intentionally walk Barry Bonds and he hit a bomb. I think David Ortiz didn't he? He reached over the plate and made a little contact. That's what I think of the playoffs. They should bring that back. You have to throw it over the plate to intentionally walk. Old school. Yeah. Old school day on SportsShack. But good for the Dodgers. Hey, repeat champion hasn't happened since the 2000 Yankees. And before that, you know who did it?
Don't tell me.
Yankees dynasty. I'm not counting them twice. It's not a trick question.
Yankees dynasty. I'm not too sure.
Before them, early 90s.
Toronto Blue Jays.
The dynasty that time forgot. Whamco, baby. Yep.
92.
So good. So good. The most underrated 2 seasons of franchise, maybe in the history of North American sports. Loaded. David Cone, Jack Morris, Ricky Henderson. The Whamco lineup, bro. Paul Molitor. Joe Carter, Devo in center field. Not much of a hitter, but one of the best defensive center fielders money could buy. And I think the first Jamaican player, if I'm not mistaken, in MLB history. And just so many other, John Olerud. So many other guys. Alomar. Bro, Wamco. Loaded. And David Cohn, Jack Morris. I think Dave Stieb might have still been on one of those teams, but out of the bullpen, or he started the year and got injured or something like that. And I mean, they had some ballers. Tom Hankey coming out of the pen, the Terminator, loaded. So that's kind of interesting. And this is the first repeat champion since the Big Red Machine in the 70s, the Reds. Is that 75, 76? Am I right on that? Pretty crazy. I know a lot of this off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Oh, I was right. They went 4-3 against the Red Sox in 75. I think that's the big Carlton Fisk series. And then in 76, they swept my beloved New York Yankees 4-0. But congrats. And, of course, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Mama, there goes that man. 2 complete games in this postseason run. The first pitcher to have back-to-back complete games since Curt Schilling did it in 2001. And then he also won World Series MVP coming out of the pen, pitching well in Game 6, coming out of the pen for Game 7 to seal the deal, give the Dodgers their 3rd championship in 5 seasons. So good for them. Congratulations. I can't keep hating. Although I do think Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was safe at home. I do, and I'm a Will Smith fan. What do you want me to say? Not just because I like the Fresh Prince either. I like Will Smith, the catcher, but I thought IKF was safe at home. What are you going to do? So, congratulations to them. And, yeah. Anything else for the World Series? This was a fun one. This was a really good one. We haven't had like a great World Series in a while.
Yeah, definitely. It was really good. Yeah, Yoshi Yamamoto definitely pitched pretty good. And wait, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, Yamamoto's a bucket. Rookie Sasaki didn't do a whole lot, it felt like. Which going into the year, obviously, everybody was talking about how great this prospect was. But as you were saying, Yamamoto, fantastic.
Yeah, Yoshi. Yeah, I thought he was going to blow Game 7. I thought, like I said, he was going to blow Game 7. That was just definitely a nail biter. That's definitely one of the best games I've watched. I thought the Blue Jays had it. I thought they had it right there and then. But obviously Miguel Rojas unexpectedly came out of nowhere, tied the game. I was out. I was watching a game with my friend Anthony, and I was shocked. I thought for a fact that Vlad Guerrero was going to walk it off for them, and he almost did, but it just hit the warning track, and that was it. So when they were so close to winning it so many times. The Blue Jays, throughout the whole series, they've had countless times leave runners in scoring position, missed opportunities. The Game 3 that went into like 18 innings, which is insane. Just so many missed opportunities for the Blue Jays. And like I said, it just sucks. You could just feel the air come out of the air in Toronto. And this, compared to the Mets when they lost in 06 to the Cardinals in the NLCS, like this was the Blue Jays were just like one game, literally like a half inning away from winning it all. And obviously the Dodgers proved otherwise. I think they kind of shut a lot of the haters down, in my opinion, the Dodgers. People say they buy their team, they buy their rings, but I mean, it was a collective group effort. You had guys, like I said, like Miguel Rojas, Kike Hernandez, like he's a great player. He's not the Freddie Freeman outfielders, but he's a pretty good outfielder. I can't think of it compared, but you know what I mean? Like people think they would have like the Juan Soto's back there or the Aaron Judges. No, it was Kike Hernandez that made the key play. And who was the guy he pushed down?
Andy Pajas, who's struggled in the postseason offensively, but when they had all those injuries in the summer, he was their best player. alongside Otani. He really saved their season. He doesn't get enough credit. And in the summertime, he was like every swing he was taking was a home run. Trust me, Poppy made himself a lot of money in that summer betting on Andy Paz. So I'm thankful for our
Did you
boy
really?
getting his ring. Oh hell yeah!
So, but no, it was definitely a great World Series, and I love seeing. You know what? We got to have our boy Gene Larkin on because I got to ask him what's been his thoughts on baseball if he follows it as much, what he thinks on the Twins. We know I think he owns a baseball clinic in Minnesota because that's where he resides now. You know, I would love to hear his thoughts on just like the World Series, um, and like I said, just overall his reaction, what's going on in baseball. I love seeing that viewership is up. I believe that. So this is what I saw when I read on Bleach Report the other day. Game 7 of the World Series was the most watched MLB game in more than 3 decades. An average of 51 million views in the United States, Canada, and Japan tuned in to watch the Los Angeles Dodgers clinch the second straight championship Saturday night in Toronto, according to MLB. And again, this is an article from Bleach Report. And get this, you ready? That marked the most viewership for a single game since Game 7 of the 1991 World Series between the Minnesota Twins and the Atlanta Braves. And guess who hit the game-winning hit in that game?
Our guy.
Gene Larkin. So I would love, just like I said, we've been meaning to talk to him for a while. We'd love to obviously hear his thoughts, and obviously, like I said, but I just thought that was pretty cool. The fact that it was compared to, to Game 7 of the 91 World Series.
There's another crossover between those two. Both extra inning Game 7s.
It's true, yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. A lot of parallels there.
But I just like the fact that viewership in baseball it's skyrocketed over these past couple of years. Am I right? Like people thought baseball was on the decline, and I feel like you've told me plenty of times, especially on here. So I like seeing the impact that this World Series has definitely had, and last year's World Series too with the Yankees and the Dodgers. It's cool to see, our generation, younger generations, the older generations are all coming together and enjoying, like baseball, or and just that viewership is rising up, and it's still alive in a way.
Listen, I understand Rob Manfred isn't perfect. I know it. You know it. We all know it. There is not a single invention that has done more for a sport in the 21st century than the pitch clock has done for baseball. And I would argue maybe over the last 100 years, the shot clock in the NBA is the only thing that's comparable to it. And the shot clock in college basketball as well.
Right.
It saved the league. That's not even up for debate. Could you imagine an 18-inning game without the pitch clock with how long these pitchers take nowadays? Oh, my God. They'd still be playing. And it would be only inning 15 2 weeks later. So, it made it so much more digestible for casual viewers. The hardcore baseball fans, as few or as many as there are, they're still going to watch. Guys like me and you, we're still going to watch. We still did watch. But the pacing made it so digestible for casual fans.
Right.
At the bar who are now getting roped into it. Or like we were a Halloween party for Game 2 or Game 1.
I think it was.
And,
it was one of the games. I think it was Game 1. It was Game 1. They destroyed the the Dodgers 11-4. Yeah.
Yeah. And people that we're friends with, but we know are not baseball fans or big baseball fans, that if it's on, they'll watch it, but they're not going out of their way. We're watching it and talking about it and interested in it. And it's so easy to watch the game when something's happening by design every 12 seconds, right? If I'm not mistaken. 13 seconds, 14 seconds, whatever it is. I forget offhand. I think they were kind of playing with it for a little bit to see what was the best time. But give or take, by the time both players are ready, around every 20 seconds, something is happening. That is so much more digestible than you might have to wait between a minute, maybe 1 or 2 pitches. That is such a game changer. Such a game changer. And I know it's like, well, baseball was flourishing without the clock too. Right. But back then in the, from the 60s till now, when baseball was televised just about, every game, and people, when they're talking about the pitch clock, were going back and looking at the time to get the time right of when ratings had been higher and more popular and whatnot. They didn't come up with this time arbitrarily. They looked at everything. And people were saying, like, well, what about the great classic at-bats like Eckersley versus Gibson? That naturally would have fit the time clock in 88 in game 1 between the Dodgers and A's. So this really saved the sport. And I think this was a great World Series. And now going forward, there's a team, 2 of the biggest, probably the 2. Yeah, I would argue the 2 biggest markets in baseball, the LA Dodgers, and not the New York Yankees, but the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are the biggest market in baseball by far. They have a country.
That's right.
They have a monopoly on an entire country. And much like the Raptors winning in 2019, the NBA championship, I wonder if, when we're going to start talking about league expansion in MLB, if now owners are looking around and saying, there is some real value to having another Canadian team. And I wouldn't be surprised if not Montreal, but Vancouver gets considered to have a team on the East and the West. Because to me, even though I'm only taking like a very rudimentary economics course now, I don't know much about economics. To me, that makes the most sense to do it. You take one on each side, which is what the NBA tried to do with the Grizzlies. But we're running a little late here. But long story short, great World Series, 2 really good teams. You had one long drought with the Blue Jays, but they still had young star players. Dodgers obviously had players that were household names, but other players that kind of came into their own. Their big free agent buys like Yamamoto and obviously all their other stars showed up and played excellent rather. And for everybody saying that they bought a championship, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Your team could afford to pay some of these players too. You choose not to. The Blue Jays got there somehow. Yes, they paid $500 million to Vlad Guerrero, but he came up in their system. How many teams passed on Max Scherzer because he was old? Addison Barger was called up. Lucas was called up. Nathan Lucas was called up.
Yeah.
Ernie Clement, he was called up. Yesevich was called up. He was just playing in college ball a year ago. He was actually playing in single A to start the year. So I don't understand. And then on the Dodgers, Miguel Rojas, a guy everybody gave up on. Andy Paz. Kike Hernandez, who in the postseason goes from being an okay, decent utility guy in the regular year to being one of the best players in baseball every single postseason. And that's not even really much of that's not an overstatement. Will Smith came up in their system. They were throwing wave and wave and wave and wave of pitcher. The only 2 big free agents, wave after wave, that were being thrown out there for them, Yamamoto and Sasaki.
Yeah.
All those other guys, and Glass now, but all those other guys, they developed. A lot of those guys or were journeyman players that anybody could have had at any time. So I don't understand it. Do I think it's fair that they could defer basically all of Ohtani's contract? No, that needs to be stopped. That's ridiculous. They need to 85%. Pay 85% of the AAV every year, and you're not going to defer 15% a year. That's fine. But give me that. 85% I think seems reasonable. Not have it the other way. Defer 85%. Come on, really? Well, that's thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
No, hey, it's definitely well said. Again, congrats to the Dodgers. 2025 World Series champions. A lot of the team, like you said, they showed up, they played. People say, people crap on them, saying they buy their team, they buy their rings. I mean, hey, either way, they showed up, they played, and they won it. It would have been the same conversation had they lost. And trying to clear my throat. something going around. I know we were discussing that before the show. And just in terms of the market in Canada with baseball, I was watching. There's a documentary on Netflix. I don't know if you saw it. It talks about the Montreal Expos. And I never really knew why they weren't a team anymore. Why they kind of moved. And I believe they're the Nationals now, right?
Yeah.
They're the Nationals, which is surprising. Washington didn't have a team around that time. That's
They
another
used to
kind
have the Senators, and then they moved to Minnesota.
Okay, yeah, wow, that's big. So but either way, it was crazy to watch. I don't know if you've seen a lot of that documentary. It was crazy.
We got right to it.
It talks a lot about a lot of Canadian figures, a lot of writers, fans that were that were around when the Expos covered them, watched them, played for them. I think they even had Vlad Guerrero Sr. on there. And I guess it was kind of hard for them to kind of keep them in Montreal, I guess, for money reasons, right?
Money reasons, and to be honest, and this is I didn't see the documentary, so I'm not pretending to know everything. 1992, 1993, Blue Jays win the championship. 1994, the lockout happens, and the Expos have a lineup of death. You had so many great players at their disposal.
Pedro Martinez too. He's in
You
the
had
documentary.
Pedro. You had Larry Walker, who's a Hall of Famer, in his last year with the Expos. You had Vlad, I think, at that point. Hold on, let me look at it. It's one of those teams that when you start looking at it, it's like, oh my God, all these guys turned out to be something that were like, arguably it may never happen again to have this much talent on one roster.
Pedro Martinez in the documentary too, and he was but that was.
So you had Moises Alou, who turned out to be a very good player, Marquise Grissom, who was excellent, Larry Walker, Hall of Famer, Butch Henry, I'm not too familiar with, Will Cordero, I'm not too familiar with, Ken Hill was pretty good, Jeff Facero, I'm not too familiar with, Pedro was great, John Wetland, not a great guy, but turned out to be one of the best closers in the 90s, had it not been for off-field issues, probably a Hall of Famer, the closer before Mariano Rivera for the Yankees.
Right.
But so many guys, and I think a big part of I think Rondell White might have had a good career too. But so many guys that turned out to be very good, Cliff Floyd. And I think the league kind of didn't want Canada to be the superpower of baseball. And so they're kind of undermining that, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of people. And I wonder if they talked about that in the documentary, because that's a big talking point that had gotten thrown around for a while, is they did not want to have Canada being the premier baseball destination. So
I think it's crazy just looking at the '94 strike, how big that was.
oh yeah, it killed fan interest too until the home run races of the late '90s.
Yeah, that almost could have ruined baseball. Especially with
Thank
the
God for steroids.
I'm not gonna do that, but I know you're joking. But
Yeah.
I know not gonna do that on here. Not gonna do that on here. But it said the strike was caused by a dispute between the players' union and the team owners over the proposed salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
So owners argued that the cap and revenue sharing plan was necessary to prevent small market teams from failing and to control escalating player salaries. The players' union, however, viewed the cap as an attempt to limit their earnings and rejected the owners' proposal, leading to work stoppage that ultimately canceled the season and the World Series. So that must have been crazy at the time. I can't imagine. I mean, we've seen strikes in the NBA, in the NFL. I remember the lockout in 2011. You could argue that probably hurt the Jets around that time. And this is
Killed
why
them.
the playoff drought is the way it is. You can make that argument. The playoff drought is for another number of reasons. But that lockout went into the summer. They still had the draft, but that lockout went into the summer. I remember the NBA didn't have a season. They didn't start the season until Christmas Day of 2011.
2012 lockout killed the New Jersey Devils. Killed them. I don't think there's ever been a single team, aside from maybe the Expos, that got shafted more by a lockout.
Wait, hold on. We might have breaking news about the Giants. Hold on, I gotta do my research. I just got something from Twitter. Even though I'm not usually on Twitter. Okay, all right, no. I mean, that's why I hate Twitter, man.
You fell for the clickbait?
I think it was clickbait. Yep.
Oh, buddy. But yeah,
Yeah, but we will get to obviously the Giants and football, what's going on. But in terms of baseball, great World Series. Congrats to the Dodgers. I'm interested to see what the Mets are going to do. Curious to see what your Yankees are going to do. But we'll get to that probably another episode. Because right now I definitely want to dive into some football real quick.
of course.
Um, the Giants, man. You know what? I'm going to say straight out on here. Um, I don't want to say they're ruining Jaxson Dart already, but I've said this for the longest time, even way before the draft. Giants fans were telling me, our friends who are big Giants fans, they got to take a quarterback. And I said it way before. I'm like, you guys shouldn't take a quarterback because you guys don't even know if your head coach and GM are going to be here for the foreseeable future. You guys should have a veteran quarterback, rely on that, and go from there. Now you draft a kid in Jaxson Dart, shows out, he looks great. Everyone in New York market's freaking out like they found the next Tom Brady, which I'm not denying Jaxson Dart. He's played great. He's played fabulous, and he's the future of the franchise. He's great, but he's already getting ruined. Why? And I say that because he already has four. He's already been evaluated for 4 concussions. That's huge. The incident, what happened on Thursday night against the Eagles, to me was childish, was rude, it was appalling. Because concussions, especially in football, are pretty huge. So you shouldn't take that lightly. He's getting evaluated for concussion. You sit out. You don't go into the blue tent, act the way you did, try to get him out there. That was, to me, was appalling. To this day, it's still appalling. So now, seeing what happened to him yesterday, obviously running the ball, and obviously I was watching First Take and Get Up this morning. I was watching Get Up. I know it wasn't First Take. They're saying the Giants should do everything to protect Jaxson Dart. And he's running, and he's a dual threat. Don't get me wrong, because he's been running the ball nonstop, which, it's a good thing to have. But, seeing that he's gotten 4 concussions now, they probably should try to limit him running the ball as much. And again, I know there's not much you can do. Obviously, Neighbors is hurt. Cam Scatterby was hurt. There's not a lot on offense, but still got to try your best to protect him as much as possible. He's the future. He's a human being. Got to make sure, got to be careful with him and the concussions. And also, like I said, it's also hard. And like they also were talking about today, it's a repeat cycle in the NFL when you draft a rookie quarterback and then you change coaches and regimes within after their first year. So I just, are they ruining Jaxson Dart already? I hope not, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing, especially just from the player aspect, from a non-fan aspect. It's just, yeah, like I said. So that's my thoughts on that. In terms of the game yesterday, but you know what? Before I get to that, what are your thoughts on the Jaxson Dart situation? And there's more I want to dive into the game, actually.
As a Giants fan, yesterday was a freak thing. Like I just refreshed my memory. I just saw the play again. That was a freak thing. That happens. He's a mobile quarterback. It happens. It just happens. Let's be honest. There have been so many mobile quarterbacks in the league over time. This notion that like it was invented 5 years ago is insane. Like no. If you want to go back to Michael Vick, Randall Cunningham, before that, Franz Harkington, and I'm missing a ton in between. It happens. That's the reason why people didn't like mobile quarterbacks for so long, was because the risk for injury is significantly higher. It happens. It was a bad hit. You can't, come on. We can't kid ourselves. However, you're up 17-7 at that point. Week 1 of this NFL season, everybody and their mother thought that Jaxson Dart was not the starting quarterback of the Giants, and a lot of people didn't even think he was the second string. Win the effing game. Win the effing game. Don't let this kid's career getting maybe, negatively impacted long term. Don't let that happen in vain. Daboll's a horrible head coach. He needs to be fired. He's an X's and O's guy. He might be a good quarterback coach, but he sucks. He sucks.
You know what?
If we still had Wink Martindale, buddy, if he didn't have to be such an egomaniac, if he didn't have to be such a jerk, we would have. I'll concede Commanders. We're 0-1. We're beating the Cowboys. We're
Beating the
1-1.
Cowboys. You're beating
Easily,
Denver.
we're beating the Cowboys. If we had a kicker, we're beating the Cowboys. Let me go.
Oh, come on now.
1-1.
Blame the kicker. You got to blame
1-2. 1-2. The Chiefs. The Chiefs we lose that one clean. Fine. We beat the Chargers in real time, so there's no reason to think we don't win that one. 2-2. We definitely beat the Saints. 3-2. We beat the Eagles in real life. We blew them out. So 5-2. 5-2 after the Broncos game. We played the Eagles a second time. If you told me we'd split with the Eagles, I'll take that. 49ers, I'm not sure. With a Wink Martindale defense, maybe we do a little better. Maybe we do a little worse. Who knows? But we'd still beat the Bears. We definitely beat the Bears. Definitely.
You guys should have won. I thought you guys had the game.
That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. We would be first place in the division.
Like you said, a lot of everything. All you just mentioned, you hit the hammer on the nail. It's the coaching. The coaching is the fault. I mean, granted, you lost a lot of players to injuries. We get that, but at the same time, you guys are in the games. You're winning them. So how are you guys not coming through and closing them at the same time? That's all that lies on the coaching. And how many times are you going to blame the defensive coordinators or the other coaching staff before the main person takes the fall? That's what happened in Wink Martindale. He was the scapegoat, and he had that bad fallout with the Giants after the 23 season, and that was it. So had Shane Bowen come in, and obviously, I mean, it's a lot to falter. I mean, Brian Burns is having a great season. Kayvon's doing good. Obviously, Abdul Carter is a stud rookie defensive lineman. It's just the pieces are not coming together. And so I credit the Giants for giving Brian Daboll and Joe Shane a lot of patience. They've had all the patience and all the time. After 3-14 season last year, they would have got the boot. They would have been fired. They would have been canned. But, if had things gone differently, I think their jobs would still be intact. But obviously, it hasn't come together. The record speaks for what it is. And like you said, all the games you just talked about, Dennis, they should have won.
That's how do you 1 year?
Yeah.
That's 1 year. Think of all these other games. How the hell do we keep losing games because we don't have a kicker? My God.
The kicker, come on. Of course, you know what? The kicker was not the fault for the game against the Broncos. Was that week 7? That was all the defense. Giving up 26
That's
points.
fine. That's fine, Brandon. That's fine. Guess what? We went to overtime against the Cowboys, and we didn't have a single kicker on the freaking roster that game. That's a division rival that we've been trying to beat for years and constantly gets the benefit of great calls against us.
Well, Brandon,
which is insane that nobody talks about it. Enough. The Cowboys beat the Giants every time, and they get away with it because they get away with, ungodly, horrific officiating. But that's besides the point. I'll concede. Eagles beat us fair. Can't stand them, but they beat us fair. Commanders beat us fair. Cowboys, absolutely not. But
Denver, absolutely not. Bears, absolutely not.
Denver beat us fair. Fair-ish and square, I would say. I will say, I understand they're the Broncos and they have a horse as their logo, but can we stop for 5 minutes dragging people down by the back of their jersey? That'd be nice. And getting away with it. But they're a good team. Going into the season, everybody thought the Broncos were going to be a good team. I think they've been playing below their expectations, whatever. Fine. It's on the defense, though. And again, it's the same problem we have. And the Giants have a bad secondary. We know that. And you could run on them. But still, we had them dead to rights. We had the Bears dead to rights. All right, well, we don't have Jaxson Dart. We have Russell Wilson, who played in 2 Super Bowls. And if he's not getting the job done, don't we still have Jameis Winston? Our week 1 third-string quarterback should not unglue our entire team. With or without Malik Neighbors. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Like I said, just in terms of Jaxson Dart, I get what you're saying. Look, like I said, you're right. Hey, like I said,
he gets better.
That's why they want mobile quarterbacks, because of the injury rate. And I know, like you said, what happened, freak accidents, the hits, like I said, I get that. All I'm saying is, like I said, concussions in football, they're a huge thing. And especially, like I said, Jaxson Dart, he's your young quarterback. He's your future. I get you don't got anything else going on the offense. I mean, I know you got Theo Johnson, who's a stud tight end. He's on the Revenge of the Buddies. But like I said, just all I'm asking for the Giants, just protect him as much as you can because he's the future of the franchise. And it's hard when I feel like he has the talent to overcome bad coaching and change of ownership. So when this next regime and people on Get Up this morning were saying like it is an attractive destination, Giants job, especially because you got the quarterback, you got a stud defense. So all I'm saying is protect him because he is the future of this franchise. He can and so that's on that. Enough on that. He has the opportunity to overcome bad coaching. So like I said, just because 4 concussions, that's a lot. I just hope he has the durability to the last in the league. It's like I said, 4 concussions, that's a lot. And I keep hammering on the concussions part. But like I said, just protect him on all costs. He's the future. And yes, he's a human being. So what else am I going to get? In terms of the coaching, I definitely it's going to be it for Brian Daboll and Joe Shane. They've had their fun, it just hasn't worked out. But yeah, it's just credit to the Bears yesterday because a lot of them, like you said, they were dead to rights, and I don't know what happened. The Giants just had a meltdown, and the Bears just took advantage of it. A lot of people kind of doubted Caleb Williams last year. But obviously, they have the right coach. It goes to show what coaching could do. And that's what I'm hoping the Jets could do. And that's another thing. We'll get to the Jets soon. But credit to the Bears and Ben Johnson, obviously coming over from Detroit with, obviously coming over from the coaching tree with the Dan Campbell tree, seeing what he's done and just changed up the organization. Caleb Williams is playing like no other Bears quarterback has had. He's going to be the first to throw for 4,000 yards. No other Bears quarterback has done that. They're 6-3. Last year, they were still probably 4-6. They've already passed a win total. You can just feel the energy changing within the Bears, organization. So credit to them. And, a lot to unpack there. In terms of the Giants, it's 2-8. It's not looking good. The Bears, like I said, hey, good for them. That must have been a fun game. I was watching the game, honestly, but I was back and forth with Red Zone and the Jets. But yeah, so that's that. Any other thoughts before we move on to the Jets?
I'm beside myself. I'm so sick and tired of this team losing in stupid ways. It's so dumb. Like this season was right there for us. There for us. And the worst part is like he got hurt at the start of the 4th quarter. It was 17-10. I'm sorry. I might have said it was 17-7. It was 17-10.
Maybe 20-10.
No, he went out at 17-10.
Okay.
But it wound up being, I guess maybe they could have gotten a kick on that drive. But at some point, the Giants do get another Young Wei Koo kick, and they wound up losing 14-20. It's like the defense has to do it, or when we have the ball again, because this has happened with this happened against your stupid team when we had Tommy DeVito. Russell Wilson's a quarterback. Maybe we could throw the ball. Without Cam Scatterboo, our run game has basically just been given to Jaxson Dart because Tyrone Tracy's not that good, nor is Devin Singletary. Although Tyrone Tracy had a good game yesterday. But that's besides the point. Where it's like, let our quarterbacks throw the ball. And I understand he was 3 for 7 yesterday. Russell Wilson, not the best. He's also thrown to the Giants wide receivers. But come on, man. Come on. Like, so many dumb games. We lost a game to your Jets a couple of years ago. And it wasn't even a game that, like, I don't even really remember you guys, like, going around with, like, bragging rights. Haha, our team beat you. Because you guys knew, like, you lucked out.
We did luck out. That was
the
game.
You completely lucked out. Because the Giants decided, you know what? We have a quarterback on our roster, a paid NFL quarterback in Tommy DeVito, and we're going to have him throw the ball twice. He's an idiot. Not Tommy DeVito. I don't know. Maybe Daboll can't get it done. He can't get it done. Maybe, like, again, maybe a really good coordinator. But my God, we can't keep doing this. How many losses have we had were just stupid?
There's a lot.
You think? It's not even like they're getting blown out. Our biggest blowout this season happened in a game we were winning against the Broncos. And yes, we did actually get cleanly blown out by the Eagles. But I mean, like, the game in which it felt completely hopeless was against the Broncos where we were winning. I can't, man. I can't keep watching this team. I can't keep doing it. Especially as my schedule gets busier with like homework and stuff like that. I'm probably not going to keep watching the Giants. I can't do this. I cannot do this. I can't work every Sunday a 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. shift or 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. shift just to go home and watch this crappy team head coached by someone who has no clue what they're doing. I can't keep doing this. I cannot keep doing this.
Listen,
I've been doing it every single Sunday since 2019, and here I am, Denny dumbass, sitting down, fanny in the seat to watch this stupid freaking team play and find a new dumb way to lose. Just spin a wheel of stupidity. We don't have a kicker this week. Oh, our star player's going to get hurt. Oh, just whatever dumb thing that we can do. Whatever dumb thing we can do, we'll find a way.
Listen,
now, what I would really like is if they just came out and said, we're just tanking. Trust the process, like the 76ers did. Okay, I'll buy in. I'll completely buy in. We'll tank this year. We'll come back stronger. We'll have hopefully Cam Scatterbo healthy for next year. That's a big part of this too. I'm not going to say it isn't. If we have Cam Scatterbo, we'd win yesterday because you could just run the ball out. That's fine. You have Jaxson Dart next year. Malik Neighbors. Good. They're back. I mean, Dart's going to be coming back this year anyway. Bolster the secondary in the offseason. Good. Talk myself into it. But if we keep losing these close games because of dumb stuff, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
Done.
Listen, like I said, just try being a Jets fan, man. You're always welcome. I mean, hey, if you want to experience the pain and misery, it's
stupidity.
It's
stupidity. I'm not going back there. No. I used to root for them when they had Chad Pennington, and I still don't necessarily go out of my way to root against the Jets. But my God, you guys, I don't know how you do it. That they just play sloppy football. They just suck.
Luckily they played better these past couple of weeks. Well, obviously the game against the Bengals, and obviously that was a sad day because obviously a childhood player of mine, Nick Mangold, passed away. I don't know if we covered it on the show. Definitely tough. Obviously, like I've said, Nick Mangold died of kidney disease. Obviously, anybody that's I pray for anybody that's looking for that battles kidney disease and needs a kidney. I pray that obviously you battle and beat kidney disease and you get the kidneys you need. And so, like I said, with Nick Mangold, it was just very sad, just because obviously he was one of my childhood players, great player, and just obviously a great human being. So obviously, rest in peace, Nick Mangold. Quick moment of silence. Thank you. So obviously, the way they played a couple weeks ago against the Bengals, that came out of nowhere. I didn't think they were going to win. I didn't know when they were ever going to win a game. And as Jim Moore always says, playoffs. Talk about playoffs. I just hope we can win a game. That's kind of what I was hoping for the Jets. I was hoping we can win a game, and they beat the Bengals. And then the way they played yesterday against the Browns. If it wasn't for the special teams, then yeah, they wouldn't have won that game. Dennis, when is a Jet team, Jets in total, have ever had a kick return and a punt return touchdowns in the same game, yet alone the same quarter?
Aside from yesterday?
Yeah. Like, what can you remember?
Maybe never. Maybe you may never see that again, buddy. That was great. I was excited for you guys. I love kick returns and punt returns. You know how I am. I get squirrel brained about special teams. So
this is you never see that. And I remember the Jets went on like a punt return drought from 2002 to 2012 where they didn't have any punt return touchdowns. That's a long time. I remember watching it. Jeremy Curley broke it in 2012 opening day. I remember watching that. But it was just cool to see. And obviously the trade deadline, they traded Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams. A lot of head scratchers. Obviously Sauce, that shocked a lot of people, but when people look back on it, it made sense. A lot of people giving me heat because, I support the Quentin Williams trade. But a lot of people saying, why are you trading away Quentin Williams? He's a top 2 defensive tackle. He's one of your best players. But I'm like, yeah, but we got a first-round pick. We got a second-round pick, and we got a defensive tackle back. I still think it was a fair deal. We lost 2 studs on the defense, sure. But I think I give Jets the credit, not for waving the white towel, but when you have an opportunity to secure, for the future, for the organization, like the Cowboys, and I'm not saying they're the Cowboys, but the Cowboys gave up, Herschel Walker, and you saw what they were able to do. And I watched the documentary on Netflix. I like what they did. A lot of it was players, but it was conditional. Whether if they were on the roster for the next season, then they wouldn't be able to get the first round picks. But the Cowboys, they're like, no, they cut almost all those players, and that's how they accumulated a lot of those first round picks. And they build upon that. Same thing with the Lions. They traded Matthew Stafford. You saw how that worked for the Rams, and he's still playing for them. And the Lions have essentially turned them from one of the laughingstocks and the worst franchises to now competitive contenders. And hopefully they'll win a Super Bowl. Not saying that could happen to the Jets, but that's the idea. That's the dream. So I like that they got 3 first-round picks in 27, 2 next year. So we'll see what goes on. So it's sad and shocking to see Sauce Gardner leave, and Quentin Williams, who was on the Jets for a long time. But business is business. The Jets had an opportunity. They saw an opportunity, especially 2 first-round picks. Whatever you hear that, it's a slam dunk deal right there. And Quentin Williams, yes, sad, but he wanted out for a long time. He's ready to win. Don't waste his career. Don't waste his time. Obviously, because like I said, football is a very physical, demanding sport. Whether it's the concussions, ankle injuries, ACLs, Achilles, no matter what. Don't want to waste his time, waste his prime. So they traded him. And the Cowboys, that's a whole other story. But in terms of obviously what's going on with the Jets, I like the moves. And so hey, I give the Jets credit for not waving the white flag, but kind of making decisions best for the long term. And hopefully it's going to pay off. Now the Giants, they should have kind of thought like that too. But it's kind of tough because this regime is not going to be here long. So I guess they didn't figure to try to get as much wins as they can. But that's it. Any other thoughts?
No, I thought the trade deadline made total sense for you guys. It worked out well. I saw some puzzling stuff like the Bengals trading away a defensive player. It's like I honestly don't think there's been a franchise. They're basically the NFL's version of the Marlins. Anytime they're doing good, they just immediately find the closest gun and just start shooting their own foot and just emptying the magazine. Your defense sucks, so you're going to trade away one of your better defensive players, not bring anyone in. Wow, you still have the opportunity to win your division. Okay, that's lovely. Talk about coaches who need to be fired. Bye-bye. And it's just, aside from the trade deadline, everything seemed to make sense. I know the Chiefs were interested in Breece Hall. I thought they were really lowballing for Breece Hall. So I thought holding on to him made total sense for you guys. You got to move on from Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams. You got to think about your future. Makes total sense.
It's shocking because, they extended Sauce. So that kind of shocked everyone in that aspect. But like you said, they didn't want to trade him. They didn't plan to trade him. The Colts kind of came in and were like, hey, what can you do about your cornerbacks? I'm like, well, let's see what, unless you send me a Godfather type offer where it's an offer I can't refuse, then I'm not going to take it. And so Chris Ballard came in and he's like, hey, here's 2 first rounders and here's a stud wide receiver. What do you think? And they're like, hey, deal. And there you go. So, yeah. And, I just hope the Jets can build on them. That's my thing. And, yeah, we'll see. But, hey, I think that's it.
I actually got to run. So I'll talk to you guys next week. All right?
All right. I'll wrap up the show for you. Dennis,
Peace.
I'll talk to you. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining into this episode of Sports Shack. My name is Brandon Gianatali. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.